Hey everybody, my name is John from Community Life Church, and this is Meals Ready to Eat from the Bible. We would really appreciate a like and subscribe. Hello, today's episode is, Who is this Jesus guy? So who is Jesus anyway? Just exactly who is he? Well, he's God, and he will not leave us alone to do as we please. If we don't know who Jesus is and where he came from, we will be offended by what he says and does. We see that today. We saw it back then 2,000 years ago. So it's nothing new. So let's take a look at today's passage. It's Mark chapter 6, verses 1 through 3. Get that up on the screen for you guys. And we'll see what Jesus has to say in this passage, what God's saying to us and how it impacts, how it changes our lives today. So, verse 1, Mark chapter 6. Jesus went out from there and came into his hometown, and his disciples followed him. When the Sabbath came, he began to teach in the synagogue, and the many listeners were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get these things, and what is his wisdom given to him, and such miracles as these performed by his hands? Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? Are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. That's Mark chapter 6, verses 1 through 3. So let's break this down and see exactly what God is telling us to do today, how he's acting, and what's going on in this passage. Well, first of all, they were offended because they did not know who Jesus is. In fact, he's annoying and offensive. So why is this? Well, because he will not stop or leave us alone to do as we please. He came to earth to seek us out, and he will not stop seeking us as long as we have breath. So as long as we're alive, Jesus is coming after us. But so who is he? Well, Jesus is God, pure and simple, and that's just the fact of the matter. And this is what the Gospels preach, and it's very clear on it. So where does it say this in the Bible? Well, it says it in many places, but we're in the book of Mark, so let's take a look at a couple of places in Mark where it says Jesus is God. In the opening of the Gospel, we read, "The voice of one crying in the wilderness, make ready the way of the Lord, make his path straight." That's Mark 1:3. So what does it say? This says Jesus is God. What's it mean? Well, yes, because that's a quote from the book of Isaiah 40, chapter 40, verse 3, where the word Lord is God, or Yahweh. In Isaiah, God is coming to walk this path. In Mark, we see Jesus show up to walk this path. So Jesus is God in the opening of the book of Mark. It's very clear, very simple, very plain. But he's also a person who's testifying this passage by describing his occupation. He's a carpenter, and his mother and his siblings. In fact, he came from a very ordinary place in very ordinary circumstances. And that's, a lot of people couldn't accept him because of his background. They're expecting something else, not just an ordinary guy. But many people, then as now, were confused by him. How could this ordinary man do these miracles, calm the sea, heal the sick woman, raise a dead child? These were all just astounding things. But not only that, but he also offered forgiveness from sins, which only God could do. So if we go read Mark chapter 2, verses 5 through 12, we see this. And the leaders of his day could not understand how he could forgive sin, and his miracles just reinforced that he could forgive sin. That's another passage, that only God can forgive sin. Jesus forgives sin. Therefore, Jesus is claiming to be God, and in fact is God. So, Jesus keeps on offending our sense of place and fair play by declaring that not only is he God, but that there is no other way to salvation but through him. He is the sole way to be saved, to get to heaven. This really is something that our modern ears hate, and they didn't like it back then either. So when we look in the Gospels, we see this in many, many places. A couple of them are, for example, John 14:6, Acts 4:12, 1 Timothy 2:5, Philippians 2:8 through 11, John 10:9, Romans 1:4, Luke 19:10, Isaiah 9:6, among many, many, many other places. So Jesus is God, and he is the only way to salvation, and that's just it. So Jesus is God and Lord and the Son of God, the healer and Savior, meaning only Savior. Since he is the only way to salvation, this is annoying, offensive, upsetting, infuriating, and even frightening to those who don't know him. And we see it in this passage and in the reaction to the gospel today. The reaction to the gospel today is the same as it was back then. Nothing has changed. Jesus offends and infuriates and even attacks those who don't accept him for who he is. But the same infuriating Jesus will not give up on people. He will not give up on anyone. He will not give up on you or me. This is just the way he is. He is still coming after us. So therefore, as we have seen so far in the book of Mark, he is sending us with the gospel, the offensive gospel to the world. And all we can do is to keep going just like he did. Thanks for watching. You can join us Sunday morning, 10:30 at 20 West Main Street, Catskill, New York. Can't make it? You can stream our services live on YouTube or Facebook, which you can find on our web at clchurch.cc. That's clchurch.cc. Don't forget to follow us throughout the week for devotions and times of sharing from leaders and staff. Leave a comment, leave a like, whatever you want. And thanks once again.